Hello, Fritz.
Well, hello, Alexandra, and hello to all your listeners, whoever might be listening to this. I really enjoyed Prague. It was such a beautiful city, and we may see each other again in person later next year. So
Yeah,
that's exciting.
yeah, I hope so. Really, it's great to see you now, and it will be great to see you in person again in Prague. And how are you? And what's your plans? And are you writing a new book? Or what are you working with?
Well, yes, I have a number of books that are partially written. The thing of it is it takes time and money, and I've been in difficult financial times, and I've been working. I got married this year, and
Congratulations.
with a very wonderful woman that I hope you get to meet. She's very intelligent, and she co-produced what I think is the best documentary on the Kennedy assassination. So she'll be a very good companion for me because she's very knowledgeable about a lot of this stuff. So I moved to North Las Vegas from Portland, Oregon, in time for, we just had a Route 91 Harvest Festival massacre, and maybe you were aware of that.
Oh, yeah.
Very suspicious. Nothing added up. There's what's called the party line, where they give you a pre-scripted narrative that it's the official government story. And so we have this horrible massacre and over 50 people killed, 500 people wounded. And the next morning, the police already are saying in their conference, that there was just one lone gunman, and they already have all the answers. A legitimate investigation into a horrible massacre would take many months. They would be evaluating trajectories and finding bullets and interviewing witnesses. They wouldn't have an official party line narrative of what happened the next morning, And then is a little strange. Israel, right after it happened, had come out in one of their leading news broadcasts that it was they gave the name of the supposed Arab terrorist. And then, interestingly, clear back in May 21st, and I came to North Las Vegas in middle of April. So within a month, the police here back in May were having a conference where they were talking about this ISIS training video that ISIS was claiming that they were training operatives to attack the Las Vegas Strip. The Strip is a series of gambling casinos and hotels. It's the center of Las Vegas likes to call itself Sin City. So the center of Sin City is the Strip, where all these gambling casinos were at. And actually a number of these places reported gunfire and people being killed. In fact, I have it as a fact. This policeman was saying that they found dead bodies at the Hooters, which is not where the shooting occurred. But then, of course, how do you explain people dying in other places? Well, he said, well, they ran away and then they got there and died, which doesn't make sense. But at any rate, we got this party line. The party line, as you know, whenever they have these kind of things happen, it's always this lone gunman, and then he commits suicide before anybody can talk to him. And so this guy that was named Stephen Paddock, who's 64 years old, and Stephen Paddock is strange too. He was not an athletic type of person. and he had ties to CIA. His plane, when it got sold, ended up being belonging to a CIA front company. And in the hotel room where he was found dead, there was a special type of battery that only special forces and the CIA use. And so then the FBI investigated, when they investigated this battery that was found in the hotel room of the alleged gunman, why the man who invented it, John Beelman, after the FBI went to visit him, he and his daughter were found dead, and it was a shotgun blast to the back of their head, and it was ruled a suicide. And then we have a lady here who was testifying that she was being shot on the ground by 2 different sources. Witnesses like that are turning up dead. Anybody who's going to tell a story beside the official party line narrative is ending up dead. So if you listen to, and I don't know, you may have, if you listen to audio recordings of the massacre, you can make out that it was not the kind of guns that they were talking, that it was semi-automatic weapons, and several of them, and people that were on the ground were getting hit by bullets that had a flat trajectory. In other words, they were being shot at by people that were on the ground. And so anyway, we had this big event here in Las Vegas where I live. And of course, this whole thing is just one more. It's convenient that the people that you and I talk about, you know, you talk about my Bloodlines of the Illuminati book, and in the Bloodlines of the Illuminati book, I actually talk about William Van Duyn, but I didn't know his name at the time. I just knew some things about him. And because somebody in the Van Duyn family had talked to me about him, they didn't mention his name, just what he did, which he was in, yeah. So interestingly, Van Duyn is part of the stockholders that control Academy. You may remember a few years ago, the Illuminati had Academy, which used to be Blackwater. It's a bunch of mercenaries. They had Eric Prince send 400 of their mercenaries over to the Ukraine. So when ISIS put out this video that they were going to do, a shooting, a massacre in Las Vegas, I should have picked up on the clues that the Illuminati was going to do something, because back in around 1992-93, the Illuminati bought Las Vegas. It was being run by what's called the Italian mob, the mafia, and then the Illuminati took it over. When Illuminati bought the Strip, all the casinos and everything, they tore down in 93, they tore 92, 93, they tore down all the mafia's casinos, and they rebuilt new ones that were more to their liking, more geared towards mind control, more geared towards the occult. So right across from this massacre, you had this huge pyramid that has it has a light that comes out of it, and the capstone, lighted capstone, and it has sphinxes in front of it, and it has an obelisk. So it's all occult, really occult stuff there. And that's right across from where the massacre happened. Anyway, long story short, the official narrative, the party line that most people are just accepting, it has so many fallacies in it. There's no way. I mean, even in the Mandalay Bay where he was supposed to be shooting, and you know numerology, interestingly, the alleged shooter, Stephen Paddock, was up on the 32nd floor, which is actually the 33rd floor. Interesting numbers, 32 and 33, right? But there were two windows. Whoever knocked out the windows made a mistake, because they knocked out windows on the wrong side of the Mandalay Bay. Then they had to come back and knock out windows on the right side. But then they knocked them out in the wrong room. So there were two different rooms that had windows knocked out. And those windows, when they're knocked out, they're linked to security, hotel security. And I know firsthand, hotel security, when anything goes on, like a smoke detector or windows broken, because they're afraid of people committing suicide, you know, if a window's broken, security's right there. But the security in the Mandalay Bay did nothing that night. Where were they for an hour? Nothing. They weren't doing anything. And the only thing that they accomplished is there was a man and a woman running around trying to warn people that there was going to be this shooting and everyone was going to be killed. The security grabbed them. So the only thing that they accomplished that night was to grab a couple of people that were trying to warn that there was going to be a shooting. Interesting. I thought it was kind of amusing. I was at a large grocery store the next day, and the clerk that was ringing up the product, and he was talking to the guy ahead of me in line, and they were talking about the guy that had just finished paying had said, well, I'm casino security. Well, those guys were pretty upset that Mandalay Bay's security team hadn't done anything. So it's interesting that even people that might buy the official story still can think a little bit for themselves, and we're not very pleased that the hotel casino security, which is usually pretty tight, did nothing for a long time. They really lost a lot of people's respect. So anyway, that's sort of some of what's going on. I have been writing, but I really need to be in a better position financially to do a lot of what I want to do. So most of what I need to do or want to do is being put on a shelf. But I've been trying to, one of the subjects I've been talking about is weather modification. Been talking to people about where it may be safe in the United States when some things may happen. You know, they're talking, the official party line is there's this global warming, but really that's just a cover for other things that might happen. And I've been talking to people recently about the Ebner effect. I don't know if your listeners are familiar with that, but a guy named Ebner discovered it. The two scientists that discovered the Ebner effect mysteriously died in 2001. But what it is these scientists took seeds and they took animal eggs, like fish eggs, and they placed them in an electric field, a DC voltage field that was very strong, like 1,000 volts, different 900, different. They put them in strong voltage fields and the cereal seeds, like they had this wheat plant, then they had this trout, they actually produced primeval versions of these things. So what they did is they activated the ancient DNA memory that was left there in the DNA code. So they got this giant extinct trout that came from the seed, and they got precursors to wheat that grew from the wheat seed. So it's the Ebner effect. There's a way And so we don't need to genetically modify food or genetically modify seed to have hardy plants. They could use this Ebner effect to produce strong plants. But the whole thing got covered up. There's this Swiss pharma company that's got the patent on it, and now it's been covered up, and you don't hear anything about it. But that's one of the things that I've been talking about. Weather modification. Here in the United States, we've been hit by a series of hurricanes. And if you remember, I remember back in the 1970s, Zbigniew Brzezinski, I'm not good with Polish names, Brzezinski, he was Illuminati. He was co-founder of the Trilateral Commission. He's CFR. He is a presidential advisor. And he wrote this book. And he said, in the future, they were going to use weather modification as a weapon. And then there's over 175 U.S. patents for weather modification. So this is not something that's pie in the sky. Actually, these people, scientists have come up with a lot of ways to modify the weather. And so I really think that that's what's happening. We've been having these super hurricanes, 9 force level hitting the United States, and Puerto Rico being devastated. And strangely, the first hurricane that came through missed the center of Puerto Rico, but the next one hit it, and then Trump and the U.S. mainland sent ships with refrigerated containers, and the governor of Puerto Rico would not allow them to be moved. So all the food, so they created a crisis. The food arrived, but the Puerto Rican government prevented it to be processed at the docks, so it spoiled. So they're creating an artificial crisis. So that's what we're dealing with here, Alexandra, is we're dealing with these people that you and I know about, and these powers that should not be. They're artificially creating these crises, making them worse. They're just trying to create an Armageddon scenario instead of, the people that are running things should be trying to make life easier. They're trying to make life harder. And so one of the things that relates to one of the things that you've talked a lot about, Nibiru. And of course, when I was there in Prague, as you know, I talked about a 9th planet. It's really clear. A number of scientists have said that there's a 9th planet, but whether that 9th planet is actually going to come and come close to the United States, or whether there's an asteroid or something. At any rate, what we can see is that there have been a lot of underground structures built for the elite to go underground. But I'm seriously still concerned about the West Coast, Yellowstone National Park, Oregon. I talked about the Cascadia earthquake. The Oregon has not had any earthquakes because the tension has been building up. The subluxation between the plates there on the Cascadia fault line, there hasn't been any earthquakes because the tension's been building up. And when it finally does snap, it's going to be like a 9.0 earthquake. Well, there's been, in this last month, there's been an increase of earthquakes up to a 3.9 in Southern California. There's been a lot of activity in Yellowstone. And yet, at the same time that there's all this activity in Yellowstone National Park, there's this Yellowstone group of elite, Illuminati people that are buying property and land and having meetings in the area. And so it's like, what's going on? Why are they in the area? do they really have the facts that nothing's going to happen? I mean, can it really be that? I mean, I don't know how they could predict that nothing is going to happen, because when it comes to earthquakes, the best seismologists will tell you they can't predict them. They can sometimes predict them, but they can't always predict them. And so how can these people be so nonchalant about the Yellowstone area? Because that super volcano, if it blows, would be like almost an extinction event for a lot of America. So, but one thing that the U.S. Navy, and I know you're probably familiar with this, many years ago, the U.S. Navy started telling its people that the United States coastal areas could flood, and that the safest place to be was in the Ozarks. Now, various people through various means have determined that Missouri, Arkansas, the Ozarks is safe. In fact, if I had the resources and the time, I would like to move to the Ozarks, because I think all things taken under consideration here in the United States, that's a very safe place to be. But a lot of retired Navy people have been getting property in Missouri, which, if that warning that they were given is true, it means that the east coast of America may be underwater. And so the question may, in the future may be underwater, which then leads to the question, what event is going to cause such massive flooding? And at any rate, there's a lot of things that are going on with the weather and the earth, the planet, and we're not getting the whole story. We're being lied to a lot, and it's just like what concerned me is the level of earthquakes in Yellowstone was being covered up by the U.S. Geological Survey. So why do they have to hide that? Why can't they be honest with what's happening? So, I'm just really kind of thinking that they're trying to get away with creating Armageddon. And so the question is what comes next? And did you ever see the card game, the Illuminati card game?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that they show in the card game is the Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam is real close to Las Vegas, and they show it breaking, being blown up. So I have to wonder if that's going to come true, because the Illuminati card game for Las Vegas showed the ideal blackjack hand, which was an ace of spades and a jack, and the guy who was the musician there giving the concert when they had this harvest massacre, his tattoo was the same thing as what the Las Vegas Illuminati card game had. So it's like, that's a very strange coincidence, It's like all these little clues that our friends are behind this. When I say friends, I guess maybe friends is too strong of a word, but the people that we know are behind this.
I can tell you, if you don't mind, what.
Yeah, speak.
Well, we are talking about the head of Illuminati, the man who is up in the pyramid since 2009. I pronounce his name William Van Down because a Dutch person, a friend of, said that they pronounce the name Van Duyn, so it's why I'm saying Van Duyn, but it's the same name as you pronounce William Van
Duyn.
How you say?
Van Duyn.
Duyn.
But that's the way it was pronounced by the lady that who was a Van Duyn. She said she pronounced it Van Duyn.
Yeah, and what I want to say about the Hoover Dam, William Van Duyn, I say Duyn, he has a YouTube channel. I would like you check it up. Its name is Liekillers. When I wrote about it, I believe it was 13th of June 2013, that this is YouTube channel of the head of Illuminati, and it's like they saying they are students of Vatican, but you know Vatican is. So directly after that, they stopped to give more videos. The only thing, the YouTube channel was there still yesterday, and the last video, the newest, from 12th of June 2013, the only thing, when I wrote about it, they removed the video for maybe 1 month, and in this video it's about New World Order is coming, nuclear attacks on huge cities or big cities, HAARP crimes, earthquakes, floodings, like man-made. And it begins with, you see Robert Oppenheimer, and he's saying, like, now I become the destroyer of the world, and it's William Van Duyn, and you are the one who told us that William's mother is an Oppenheimer. Isn't it so? So maybe he was so cautious, oh, they've got us now. They see that who is behind, and I have to remove the video because it's Oppenheimer. It would be too obvious. It was like this for me. And then 1 month later, the video was back, but no more videos. And it's directly William's work. I can see it's like very professional, very beautiful music, seductive, but the evil, the mind control that he has. So I would, if you would have time to look at it, the Liekillers. And you know what's funny? They are so arrogant that in one video, I believe it's from 6th of June 2013, they are talking about, we are going to sterilize you by air, like they say it all, this is Nazi system that is coming, and you know what, look at 6th of June, who is there? Your former chief of DHS, Homeland Security, Johnson. He's there with mark of the beast, and then one of the videos about Nibiru is monetized. So you could directly go who gets the money. And here you are talking about Nazi system, and here you have the chief of DHS. We know what DHS is. You shouldn't pay for DHS. It was like new after 9/11, and 9/11 was a fraud. So who should pay? Well, William Van Duyn. I mean, how sleepy are we that you have evidence like this and people don't react? Do you believe that they are sleeping? No, they keep me busy really much, William, because I'm the one he picked. You communicated with him, I communicate with him. And I would like to ask, how does it come, how did you start it to communicate with you? You sent letters?
I'm talking to someone who worked for him. And then I told him that I would, if I could have the privilege of analyzing Mr. Van Duyn's handwriting, I would like that. I mean, all they could say is no. So I got a sample of his handwriting and wrote up an analysis. I'm pretty good at it. And I wrote up a character analysis of him and sent it. And it so impressed William that he wanted to communicate with me directly. That's how I broke the ice with it.
And when was it? When?
Probably around 2013, I think, or 2012, 2013. It's been a while, but they got frustrated with me because, and what they were saying was not entirely bogus. I mean, what they were saying actually is true, and they were saying that to the world, because I believe in the Bible and I quote the Bible, I discredit myself as a journalist. Because William Van Duyn proposed that because I was an outsider that's written about the Illuminati more than anybody else, that if I wrote up a history of the Illuminati, it would have credibility with people, because people would realize, well, this is somebody who's not in favor of the Illuminati writing this book. And he said that they would they'd provide a team of writers and they would give me access to their secret libraries. But that, so, it's the way you have to understand how these people think. They, like you say, they're very arrogant, but they really believe in themselves. And William openly told me that they were going to use the academy, that they were going to use their own death squads to kill these bankers. He said that these bankers didn't have good character. Well, of course, from their vantage point, what's bad character? That these bankers weren't trustworthy, I guess. So they began suiciding them. And these suicides are obviously murders, and the police never investigate them. The police always rule these things as suicides. Now we're up to like 75 or more of these bankers having been murdered and it being ruled a suicide by the police every time, no matter what the evidence. So they have the power to get away with this stuff, like you were saying. Wow, what you were saying triggered me thinking of a whole bunch of stuff, and I was busy listening to you, and I don't remember what I was going to say, but
anyway, I would like to say that I'm happy that you said this about academy. I had no idea, even though, you know what, Eric Prince, it makes sense that it's William behind. He wants to come to politics now, Eric Prince. But it's not only academy. He has this intelligence solutions. And when 9/11 happened, you have this Secret Service guy, Kofi Black, who was contra intelligence, real criminal. He worked for this intelligence solution that Eric Prince is owning. So it makes sense that it's William Van Duyn behind, of course.
The same people that are stockholders in Academy are stockholders in the MGM Grand Mandalay Bay casinos. So it's the same people. So I should have realized from the clues that the Illuminati, to pull off this fake shooting like they did, where they had multiple shooters on the ground shooting into a crowd, that they would choose a place where they controlled. So like in the Mandalay Bay, all the employees that work there they've been vetted, and anyone who's not controlled by them is weeded out. So they control that part of Las Vegas. And so they can pull off something like this that is obviously false, and the party line is not true, but they control things to such a degree that they can pull it off. And we know that ISIS was created by our secret government, the American secret government. So I should have realized that the clues that were there, that they were going to pull off this massacre. Now I can look back and realize that the clues were all there. I just didn't put them together. And another thing that's happened, as you know, there's a Dr. Harrington and a guy named Marks. These two were scientists that believed in Nibiru, and they got suicided. So, you know, you have to wonder, why are they concerned about the truth coming out on so many of these things? And oh yeah, you were talking about how they're destroying. They talked to me. They were, I guess from my vantage point, you could say it was arrogant. I mean, or maybe another word for it was just very confident. I mean, you know, they could openly tell me, okay, we're going to go kill a bunch of bankers, and then successfully do it. You know, or we are going to sterilize the people. Okay, that was the thing that I was thinking. That was what I wanted to talk about that you brought up. How they openly say we're going to sterilize the people. Well, they will. That's one of my big projects in warning people of recent, is the 5G towers that they're building. The radiation from those towers will sterilize people. And they are going to put 5G towers. 5G stands for fifth generation, but it's a combination of a number of things, new technologies that are put together. And it's totally different technology than the previous cell phone towers. These towers and the way they direct energy, the directed energy, almost like a laser, it just beams it. They are actually going to be dangerous to people's health, and they will sterilize, and they will be, every few feet is going to be one of these 5G towers, even in the countryside. So yeah, the whole effect of that will be to neuter us. And unfortunately, the millennial generation is going to want this, because the 5G gives them much better internet access. Much more data is going to be moved quicker. You're going to get more data quicker than with the current generation. So that means that their cell phones will be able to get a lot more data and a lot more internet information very, very quickly, and do a lot more. But the cost is going to be sterilizing them. And I have a cousin. He was one of the early pioneers of cell phones and selling cell phone technology, and he died of cancer. I'm telling you, people, these cell phones, which put out radiation, everything that puts out radiation, ought to scare people. They're trying to kill us with all of these new technologies, you know, the GMO and all the rest. I mean, it's very clever how many different directions they're trying to destroy us.
But there is something else, and you mentioned in Prague, that the Illuminati have something that we have got in us, inside us, and then they put another ingredients, and then they will kill us. And in that moment, it clicked. I believed. I don't know if you can see. Can you see anything of this?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, it's you can look in 2013, I believe. Reb Michelle Hopkins. She has information. The video is urgent. Classified documentation reveals horrific. It's a nanoprocessor, advanced, that they put in water, beverages, food. You just get it inside of you, nanoprocessor. Then, by the cell towers or drone, they can turn it on. And if you are like us, a whistleblower or working against them, then they turn it on. And in like 98% of cases, you get flu-like symptoms, and you die within like 5 days. Look at it, and it's, I believe, CIA, DARPA. Rev Michelle Hopkins, she got married also, so her name is Rev Michelle Hopkins Mann. She broke it up. She has like 3 videos about it, and I believe maybe you know Brittany Murphy. She got assassinated. The actress. She maybe was killed this way. It might be possible.
Wow.
Or others. So we have it inside of us. You have got it with municipal or water, or how you call it, like all, not only Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, Nestle, but also usual drinking water. And then you have it inside of you, and then they put it on like by cell towers, and a lot of people will die believing that you have got flu, dangerous flu. So it was what I wanted to tell you. And also about Hoover Dam, I would like you watch the Hoover Dam information on Williams or the Liekillers YouTube channel. First, when I saw it 2013 about Hoover Dam, CERN Hoover Dam attack, I believe it's just BS. It's nonsense. It can't be. And also about Nibiru, that it's the biggest artificial made object that is not piloted, and that it can cover, like uncloak itself, cloak itself, and so forget it. It's nonsense. It can't be. But then in the end of 2014, when the advertisement, you could see Hoover Dam, you could see the images of CERN Hoover Dam, suddenly I understood that what William has written is true. And I tell you that now. What he say and read it, it's esoteric, but it's true. I was stopping it because he gave us the information. CERN is preparing a bomb with conserved energy, that when this bomb with conserved energy will hit the waters of Hoover Dam, at that moment, electrically charged, this electromagnetic reaction will open a portal to, in this case, planet Saturn, and this is the abyss, or this is it. And they say themselves that this is the beginning of the end for humanity. And also Hoover Dam, it's like after Herbert Hoover, but you have got another Hoover, J. Edgar Hoover. Listen just to this. J. Hoover, Jehovah. They are playing God. And since the end of 2014, I was stopping only the false flag that William like decided it was nuclear and opening of Hoover Dam portal. It's what I'm working with mostly, and since then, many times they had the technology, they could open it anytime. So the Pizzagate, when you see pizza on msn.com, it's not about what you believe pizza. For them, for William Van Down, the Illuminati, Pizzagate is the opening of the Hoover Dam portal, and we will be eaten by the beings. They are like waiting there on Saturn, and you have other whistleblowers, Bergrum, who told that there are creatures there in Saturn, on Saturn, waiting. So if this would be open, it's the end for us. And if you have time to watch the Liekillers and analyze it, because it's William's work. Now I wanted to tell you there are other things also, but I lost myself. I wanted to tell you something very important about, if you watch the song of Taylor Swift, Bad Blood, it's about that we, in this case it was me, but we as humanity were stopping them to open the portal. So look at the video, you can see the portal sign a lot of time, like CERN. And what it is about is that William Van Down is threatening Evelyn Rothschild that they didn't open the portal. And the problem, we are the problem, that we are blocking it. So if you watch it, you understand maybe the language. And so now I have been talking, and it's you who would be.
That's fine. You know, all of us have things that we can share. So thank you for sharing those.
Yeah.
So this has been almost 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Is this about the length of what we're going to do tonight?
Yeah. And it's early morning here in Czech Republic, and it's getting really late home in not Oregon, but where you are now. So I would like to thank you, and it would be great if you have time, some other time, to speak about like the language that they use in mainstream media, so that people could understand. Like MSN.com, you have English and you have Illuminati coded language too. So,
like you well know, they have developed their saying things with occult symbols. Occult means that there's a hidden sign, a hidden meaning to the to their symbols and hand gestures and so forth. Yeah, that would be a good topic for us to talk about sometime. Well, thank you for having me on, and I hope the Polish listeners enjoy it. And yeah, that's probably a good place to wrap it up there.
Thank you so much, Fritz, and well, good night, because you are going to sleep now.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.